We're calling this a special meeting? I got, okay. All right, then I'd like to call to order the special meeting notice for today. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tam, Commissioner Sai, Commissioner Wu,
Present.
Vice Chair Solon, and
Present. So the agenda is posted 72 hours prior to each meeting at the following locations: City Hall, the Crowell Public Library, and the Stillman Building. The agenda is also posted on the city's website. The city welcomes public input. At this time, the public may address the Recreation Commission on items that are not on the agenda. Pursuant to state law, the Recreation Commission may not discuss or take action on issues not on the meeting agenda. To ensure that everyone, including those joining us remotely, are able to hear all speakers clearly, please speak directly into a microphone. I would now like to ask Management Analyst Shiganaga to explain how public comment will work.
thank you. For each item on the agenda, there will be time for public comment. We will accept comments in 3 ways. We will take in-person comments for each item. Please fill out a speaker card and turn it in to me if you wish to speak on an item. We will then ask for comments from our Zoom participants. When we ask for public comments via Zoom, there are 2 ways you can let us know you would like to speak. First, you can use the raise hand feature, which is a button that's found by clicking on raise hand on the bottom right side of the screen. Please do not use this feature until we've asked for public comment, or else we may not see it or know which item you are asking to speak on. As a second option, you can send a message using the chat box saying you would like to speak on a particular agenda item. Comments will be accepted only until the end of the public comment period for that item. Please keep in mind that if there are technical difficulties with Zoom, the meeting will proceed as normal. The city will do its best to resolve any technical issues as quickly as possible. I will then read into the record any public comments received by email for that particular item. Due to technical limitations associated with gathering, printing, and sorting emailed public comment, the city has instituted a 3 p.m. cutoff the day of a Recreation Commission meeting for emailed public comments. This is to ensure there is sufficient time to gather and present the emailed comments at the meeting. Any comments received after 3 p.m. the day of a meeting will be included in the public comment record, but will not be read at the meeting. Thank you.
Have any public comment requests submitted electronically? All right, moving on to commissioner reports. Do any commissioners have anything to report at this time?
I guess I'm gonna just give feedback in terms of Lacey Park after dark. So both myself and Commissioner Sai attended the event on Friday, and according to my daughters, they had a great time. They even asked if this is every year. They enjoyed it that much. So, but my comments that I had is like a comparison, and I don't know if this is the right time to sort of bring it up. I've attended both another city, a local city's camp out. It's also an overnight stay, as well as a private event that was at a farm with activities. I was just going to kind of bring up some of the contrast in terms of activities within the event. So in comparison to the other city, of course, our city I thought was better. It was probably better organized. But there's one thing that they did that I thought would be beneficial. They actually had a gathering round in a circle. And it was optional, but it allowed people to introduce themselves as part of the neighborhood and sort of as a way to really get to know your neighbor, to talk about yourself and really engage people. And I did like that aspect of that. In comparison to the private camping thing, and there's actually no comparison. The cost of this private event is essentially almost 2 to 3 times the expense of the city event. But then there was activities that my kids thoroughly enjoyed. So the contrast is we had the crafts, the lawn, we had different reptiles, like events, the Falcon event, and of course the food both for breakfast and dinner. But the private event had all that, but the events are more complex. They had pony rides, they had a corn maze within the property, axe throwing, archery lessons, and crafts. And then so the one I just kind of want to bring up is it possible to bring up like additional vendors or different activities within the camp out? If it would be something that's within budget, something that wouldn't like make it, let's say $100, or just to bump it up and have very kid-friendly events. And I would probably say, like, we had the reptiles from, I think that was part of the LE Wildlife, that presented both the skunks as well as allowed the kids to touch the snakes. I've been to like private petting zoos where someone who's very enthusiastic about animals will engage the kids. And I was just wondering if that was an option within these kind of events.
It is an option. It obviously impacts the budget, but we can certainly look into those. Thank you.
Anyone else with comments? I actually do have something. I bumped into a former colleague of mine at the county, but who's also a San Marino resident, and I encouraged her to come, but she mentioned that she had to take care of her grandkids tonight. So I told her, well, next time bring your grandkids too. But the issue that she wanted me to bring up as it relates to Parks and Rec, Lacey Park as well, is she wanted to highlight about the dogs on the leash issue. I told her that we actually had spoken about this issue and that we were addressing it, but according to her, she says that it's still an issue about getting the dogs on the leash. So I'm not sure about that. That's just something that she raised to me. She also mentioned that it seems like they're, at least at the entrance of the park on weekends, that she's saying that the attendant leaves at 10 a.m. and people know to come in at 10 a.m. and we may be missing out on whether people are actually paying the fee to get in. So that's just something that she mentioned. I just wanted to kind of raise that issue since she might call me to task on mentioning it to me today. So I just want to make sure that I raise that here at this forum. And that's all I have. Okay. All right. Well, the first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Are there any questions from the commission? All right. Seeing none, I'd like to open up the item for public comment. And seeing there's no one in the room, do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
No request to speak.
I'll bring this item back to the commission for discussion. And do we have any comments or questions from the commission? All right. Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on May 8th, 2023.
And the second?
I second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tam? Commissioner Sai?
Aye.
Vice Chairperson Solon?
Aye.
Chairperson Yan?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Second item on the agenda is the Director and Recreation Manager report. Can we please have a presentation from Community Services Director Johnson and Recreation Manager Covarrubias?
Chairperson Yin, and good evening, commissioners. The director's report begins on page 10, and hopefully you had an opportunity to read through it, but I will just bring forward some highlights. As you can see, May was a very busy month for us in terms of hiring for our seasonal staff. And so that brings our summer programming up into full swing as we onboarded folks for our aquatics program, summer camp programming, and we hired, was it one new gatehouse person? Or did we hire two?
We have 3 in total.
Total, but and I was surprised to hear that someone thinks they leave because they are scheduled, just for your book of knowledge, they are scheduled from 8 in the morning till 8 p.m. at night. Yeah. So and we have a AM shift and a PM shift.
I think I know what the issues.
But we will absolutely look into that comment, Commissioner Yen, in relation to the gatehouse attendant, maybe not being at the gatehouse. The second bullet point there under the personnel updates has to do with the new facilities position that will hopefully, fingers crossed, be formally approved at Wednesday night's council meeting. And I'm working with the HR director to quickly post that position because our new fiscal year begins July 1st. So we will begin that recruitment, which will take a while. And you can see there I listed where we will be posting that position. Should you know of anybody that might be interested in the job, has the skills listed within the job description, which then will also appear on the city's website. But CPRS is our state association where all professional positions get posted. We'll be posting it on government jobs, school jobs, and then the city's website. So we are extremely excited about that. And then if you haven't heard, council has made a final selection for the new city manager position, and that appointment is scheduled to happen on Wednesday evening. So plan to come to the meeting on Wednesday or possibly Zoom in so you can join us in learning a little bit more about the candidate. And not sure if this person will be in attendance or not, but they may be. So moving on, page 11, community center project updates. As I have been sharing along the way, the real detailed construction updates can be found on the city's website, and the link is there. Not sure if anyone has sort of clicked in through your agenda packet, but our construction managers, Griffith Structures, and the project manager does a great job of taking progress pictures and putting it into that report. So you can actually get a sneak preview of kind of the building and things that are coming along quite nicely. The scheduled for the opening is still slated for September of 23. In the next month, we will start firming up dates. I don't have anything to share with you right now in regards to the actual relocation and the move. Still hoping that it will happen in July, late July, beginning of August. So just keep your ear to the ground, watch your inboxes. We will be anxious to share those details as that physical move happens and the building, we actually get occupancy into the building over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Things are going to start really happening, and we can, get confirmation on when those firm dates will happen. The other things that we're doing, which is very exciting, is behind the scenes, our project team is finalizing the FF&E items, which is furnitures, fixtures, and equipment that the operating staff or city staff, we are the ones who actually do that direct purchase. And that's such as the furniture, both inside and out, a lot of the appointing the office space, and the other project work that is on our radar is the artwork. any types of displays and things like that to beautify the inside. So that's kind of behind the scenes. And then again, the relocation of the recreation office is hopefully slated for fingers crossed early August. And then the customer service office will also move. So more to come on that. And I was actually going to comment on the that didn't make this writing. Manager Covarrubias is going to share a little bit about the stats and the details on the camp out, but I want to just publicly acknowledge that so much work goes into our special events, and we just have an amazing team that's able to passionately show up every day and host an amazing event. We've just heard nothing but wonderful comments in the early feedback from the surveys and directly to the staff. So great job, Eddie and your team. It's always a pleasure to receive those great comments. And as Commissioner Tam can attest, there was many people that had a good time and another successful event. I do believe we had 50 plus on the waiting list. And I keep saying, we need to add another one. So we'll see if we've got the bandwidth to maybe do that next year. With that brings us to our upcoming events. As you know, our next big event is in July. 4th of July, and it'll be the new city manager's only second official day on the job. But we do plan for, a big crowd again this year as we fully recovered from COVID. And we do have volunteer opportunities if anybody's interested. Then moving on to page 12, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Eddie to go over the operational staff briefings and finish up this report.
Thank you, Kathy. So during the month of May, we had quite a few activities lined up in the city. The really neat one is the painting with mom session. That's a really popular one at Lacey Park. Families are able to go out there and do a painting session with their mother or someone that represents their mother if they don't have one. So it's always a sold out event. And we had about 25 participants this year having an individual paint session. They try to do paintings that try to tie in both, the mother and the child. So that one's a really a great event that we like to have host every year. Also, our Little Learners program, they actually completed their graduation ceremony. And if you noticed on the accolades, if you were able to read some of those, there was a lot of very happy parents that were very satisfied with the program. To the fact that some of them actually mentioned they did a lot more than we were thinking they were going to do with them. So, that's very complimentary to our staff, which worked really hard to try to plan these curriculums for the kids. Giving them their first opportunity to interact with other children of their ages and have fun and learn manipulatives, vocalizations, those types of things. So we're very, very proud of our staff, our Little Learners staff. They work really hard and try to promote learning and education and play as part of their aspects of that program. In addition, the Memorial Day service and Hometown Hero Banner program went on May 29th. It was again another beautiful event. That's a very touching and sentimental event because every veteran that's there is able to grab a microphone and speak about their time in the military or recognizing their service member, family members. So it's always a very touching and poignant event. So that one went well. We had about 250 people actually participate in the ceremony, and another about 200 or so just walked through the Hometown Heroes, which are the banners of our living veterans on display. So that was really well attended. And then our Lacey Park After Dark was this last Friday. As some of you commissioners saw, it was a very busy afternoon. You know, we were trying to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to participate in all the activities, put out a lot of lawn games. And that was something different this year. Actually, there was a lot of people that were playing with the lawn games that we put out there. So that was really great to see families playing together and interacting and using those spaces to play with their neighbors or other friends or strangers even. So that was really rewarding seeing that. People were able to do the arts and crafts. And then we had the library out there as well, registering people for the summer reading program. So that was great that we're able to partner with our secondary division in community services, and they were out there taking those registrations. And we had 235 participants this year, which is about 30 more than last year. After we saw that we could handle some more, then we started allowing a bigger crowd. So that's potentially something that we could do next year, is expand it to about 250, because like Kathy said, we did have a very long waiting list that we had. This year, we did bring in a falconry expert. You know, we wanted to educate the public about falconry and the use of falcons, you know, to mitigate any type of extermination instead of using pesticides or things like that. So that was a really fun activity that people got to see a live falcon nearby. We were hoping that they were going to fly it over the park, but unfortunately there were dogs, and the owner of the falcon was worried that the falcon wouldn't come back. She'd have to climb a tree to retrieve the bird of prey. And then we also had LA County come out again and just demonstrate their reptiles. They brought some king snakes as well as some pelts of some local area types of animals, such as coyotes and raccoons and those types of species. All in all, things went very well. We had a crew circulating all night long to make sure that everything was okay. I'm very proud of Angie and Victoria, the supervisors that just worked really hard in organizing all of these events and these activities and trying to take in their criteria. We did try to get an archer to attend the event. We weren't able to get a securum for this year, but we are looking into bringing an archer. So that was one of our goals, is to try to bring something where people get to do a little bit more, as well as shake things up for next year. You know, things become a little stagnant. So we do want to have like skit time instead of the circle time. We'll get some of the tents to do skits, but you know, those things get added on yearly. Like for example, this year we had the tent decorating contest. So some of you that were there, you probably saw some of those tents. They were really, really cool. So, you know, we're adding small elements. Just on contrast of that, we don't want to make it too expensive where it's going to be cost prohibitive for families. You know, once you start getting into the $50-$60 range for a family of four, that's already $200 and something. There might be some that are able to pay that, but we try to give them an experience. It's a one night, overnight, like here's your touch and go type of feel for camping. If you really like it, you know, you probably can go to other places and things like that. But it might be a good option as a secondary fall camp out, that we make it a little bit more extravagant, which, you know, would satisfy another clientele if they're interested in doing something like that. So we are totally open to offering maybe a more you know, a less expensive option and a more expensive option, and be able to see, you know, where people want to select or what they would like to do. So that's my report on the Lacey Park After Dark Campout. I am the most pleasing, or the best stat that I have is there was 0 injuries and 0 calls for help. So that is to me the most important statistic for the evening. I hope that, like I said, you read some of the feedback. I will have also comments from Lacey Park from the surveys. Once we receive those, there are people that are very generous with their words. They put in a lot of suggestions, and we do read through those thoroughly, and we try to make sure that we accommodate whatever we can on an annual basis, whether it be the egg hunt, the trunk or treat. We do take those surveys very serious, and we try to make sure that we accommodate, or we try to do things that that the public wants or would like to see. So that is my part of the presentation for the manager report. If anyone has any questions?
Thanks again. It was a really great event, Eddie. The number you said this year was 230. So just last year, I went to the Scouts meeting, and the Scouts meeting actually had more tents as well as more attendance. If I were to guess, I don't know the exact number. It felt like it was almost double the size, maybe 400. How is that number 238? Because you said we had a wait list.
Yeah.
Is it five and then porta potties? Does the Scouts have more in terms of I guess facility management, or how is it that their event had so many people versus our
I can answer that. So with the Scouts, since I am a Scout family, you have den leaders, and the den leaders are able to work individually with their group, with their own dens. So, you have all of these den leaders that are, and parent involvement that are helping their children with the activities and things like that. Or in our situation, we don't have a large number of staff members, so we don't want to overdo it where we can't control the crowds anymore and not keep any type of orders. So like some of the check-in processes were pretty easy for people, and we're gauging, this is our second one. So we see, we increased it by a certain amount this year. Now we see we can handle a little bit more. So we'll increase again next year. We just don't want to go above or go over what we feel we're capable of accommodating, because then we would have a situation where it'd be chaotic. People would be, maybe burning themselves while they're doing the s'mores. So we want to make sure that we're careful when we're actually deciding or determining the number of participants that we want to have. But yeah, the Scouts, definitely a lot more involvement with the parents and with the Scout leadership and stuff like that. So that's why you can see the larger crowds, and they do this regularly. So they have the high-tech equipment and they know how to do a lot of the things. Whereas we have a lot of novice, beginners, first attempt at camping, a lot of babies. Maybe some of you heard them over the night, they were crying. So, so we try to keep it a little bit more family oriented, more manageable for our staff. And that's probably why you see more campers with the Scouts than you do with us. Yeah.
One comment, because I heard from somebody who attended last year as well as this year, and she said last year was great, but this year was much better. She appreciated the hot breakfast. I think last year maybe it was continental, and it was advertised as continental, but I'm sure it was a pleasant surprise for those who had the hot breakfast. And the security. I mean, I've seen, private campgrounds that didn't, at least if there was somebody patrolling, I wasn't aware of it. But I mean, it's a very difficult and tedious task to wake up every hour. I don't think anybody does that unless you have a newborn at home or something. So thank you and the staff for doing that. But I agree with everything that Commissioner Tam said. It was an excellent and amazing event. And my husband and daughter have attended the Memorial Day service as well. I wasn't able to, but they also said it was a great event, very moving and touching. So thank you for that as well.
We do try to improve every year of the event, whatever we can do to make it better. Some of the survey responses where they didn't like the Continental, well, we will charge a little bit more and we'll have a hot breakfast for people. So now some of the initial comments are like, serve breakfast at 7 instead of 8, and some were like, no, 8 is perfect. So now we got to find the happy medium where everybody's happy, right? So yeah, absolutely, we do take and we grow and we develop things, and we want to make sure that we provide a great experience for everybody. Yeah.
Hopefully we can just put it in the middle, because I noticed leaving early. So it feels like 7:30, and I know there's quite a few people waiting.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have conversations at the office. What can we do? Maybe we could do an early shift and a little bit later shift, or we'll talk about that and try to figure out solutions after we get all the responses back. Yeah.
How that goes.
That's not a bad idea. Just we love to try different things, and you never know what you're going to get every year. So that's what keeps the people coming, is like, well, what are we going to see this year? What are we going to experience? If it's the same thing over and over, it gets dull and boring, and we don't want to be repetitive like that. So for example, the Halloween trunk or treat event this year, instead of having a movie again, we're actually going to have a live concert. So, that'll be something that might entice people that have never come to want to come out. So, yeah.
Any other questions? So I guess just to add on to Commissioner Tam's comment about the Boy Scouts or the Scouts, is there a possibility to work with them to help out, and maybe they do something else where they're helping out the city with some of the concerns that you have with not having enough staff? Maybe they could earn a badge or something to help out.
There is a possibility we can partner. We can have conversations with their pack leader. I think there's a couple of troops here in San Marino, so we would be open to the idea. So that's something that potentially we could reach out and see what we can do to accommodate that. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, there maybe as a merit badge they can earn or something. So, yeah.
And then also I noticed on the marketing and communications, I think something that I've raised just as far as helping out in promoting the events. I know I am not a Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or name your social media. I am not that user, but I noticed that it is something that people use, and I am willing to learn more in order to help more and also get more engaged. Maybe that's something that we could look into as far as if there is anyone else on the commission. If you're not into it, which I am not, I need someone to teach me, and I've been I guess staying away from my daughter. I don't want her to do it too much, so I'm afraid to ask her what she's on. But that's something that, I'd be willing to at least get on myself, especially Facebook and Instagram. I have an account, but maybe even just creating a separate account to help out and just, as going to certain events and just kind of taking pictures. I'd be willing to do that, something like that on a personal level.
I have some comments about that in my next report, so I'll touch on that, how we might be able to help educate or facilitate commissioners boosting our Instagram follower numbers and things like that. So I'll touch on that a little bit.
I mean, I don't use it too much, but I have seen and try to use the community services page. One thing, so there's certain ones that have like a complete event description. So you can just screenshot it and send it to a friend. I think they did it for the Memorial Day, the senior happy hour. There wasn't one for the camp out, and I did notice that because I wanted to share it with people, and I had to go to the PDF of the magazine to then screenshot it and send. But it, like when the pool opened up and there was like a very clear hours, location, it's just really easy to share with other people. So for major events, and I think it's done the vast majority of the time, it's pretty helpful to have.
I know we have our analytics here where we have the top shared post. Lacey Park After Dark was number. Was that it was only shared 4 times? Is that what that means?
Correct.
Yeah. So, but any thoughts on? Oh, right. Okay.
I was here.
Okay, so at this time, I'd like to open up for public comments. Seeing that there's no one in the room, do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
No request for comment.
This item back to the commission for discussion. Any further comments or questions from the commission? All right, seeing none. This is probably just like a receipt and file. All right, the third item on the agenda is the preview of July is Parks and Recreation Month plans. Can we please have a presentation from Community Services Director Johnson and Recreation Manager Covarrubias?
Thank you, Commissioner Yen. Since the commission began and reconvened in September, you missed last year in July was our first year here in the city of San Marino that a proclamation was presented by City Council to staff, and they joined the national initiative, which is actually from our National Association, NRPA. You'll hear me refer to this quite often. So this will be our second year joining this, again, this national initiative. And as the staff report states, ever since 1985, cities and counties and special districts all across the country have been proclaiming July as Park and Rec Month, which essentially promotes building strong, vibrant, and resilient communities through the power of parks and recreation. This year, like all the others, it serves as an opportunity for city leadership to officially acknowledge the importance of parks and recreation and the services and the program and the facilities that we provide, including the professionals that are behind the scenes, planning, organizing, and executing all of the programs and services. We also like to showcase the benefits that the industry and the professionals and what we do, how it benefits our residents, such as open park space, quality of life programming, connecting neighbors to neighbors, people to people, and people to nature, such as through the park, walking, just being outside. So as I stated, this began last year on this month, June 30th at the council meeting. There will be a proclamation again declaring that our community is going to be acknowledging that month as Park and Rec Month. We have staff from both departments. Because we deliver parks and recreation out of two different departments, community services with the recreation, we activate spaces, but our public works and parks department have the job of caring for the physical spaces, such as the park and all the other civic facilities that we program, such as the community center and the library. So at Friday's meeting on the 30th, we will also have staff there to kind of acknowledge them and, provide a recognition once a year to say thank you so much for what you do and being passionate about the field and serving the community. And one of the ways that recreation is, we take the lead on, in your packet, you should have seen, and in front of you, you should have a copy of the calendar. So what we do is we have provided what I call a refrigerator copy of a calendar with ideas of how to stay engaged in your community. And I just wanted to bring to light, highlight some of the fun, unique things that the staff came up with. We will be offering on the 2nd of July a free swim day at the pool. So that's first time. We hope to use that as an opportunity to showcase all the other programs and activities that we do at the pool. On the 4th, obviously, we have our big community celebration for Independence Day. I really am excited about the week of the 10th, Monday the 10th. You see there in the middle of the calendar. We have also partnered with our urban forester to provide a virtual tree tour of Lacey Park all week using the QR code. We're going high tech. So that's I haven't done it myself, but I plan on it. And then we also have free fitness classes, boot camp classes at Lacey Park that week. And then also during the week of 17th, the 17th, 19th, 21st, there's free fitness classes provided in the park, listed on the calendar there in the morning. And then on the 21st, excited to bring to everybody's attention that our first summer concert event, the Sunset Concert Series, kicks off at 6 p.m. With featuring the remotes. So summer has officially arrived. I think the first day of summer is what official day is that? It's like the 20th or 21st, something like that. And then I like the 25th, stop and smell the roses at the Rose Garden at the Rose Arbor and the Rose Garden at Lacey Park. And a lot of people don't get back there. They sort of see it over there and they don't always get over there, but it's in bloom and it's gorgeous. I was just there myself just a week ago. So I highly suggest that you as commissioners, like we stated on the 29th, if you're there, please use your phone and we will, after the meeting, we can help you give you a very quick tutorial on how to post to our social media accounts. So take a selfie, hashtag, SM Community Services, and up in the upper right, you can also hashtag the Where Community Grows. That will also post to the NRPA national Instagram page and possibly their Facebook page, if they have those two connected. For our social media pages, Instagram and Facebook, we have linked both of those. So if you post or hashtag, call out that handle on your own pages, then it will go to our page as well. Do you want to mention any other words of wisdom, Kristen? Did I explain it? Adequately enough?
Yeah, I think so. I think just tag us on your social media posts and we can always repost them on our own stories. That way other people who follow us can see what you guys are doing and kind of maybe get intrigued to want to participate themselves.
Okay, and I think that completes my report on the preview for July is Park and Rec Month. And you will be hearing from us every June. This will be a national initiative every single year annually. And we hope to keep adding fun and new activities every year. So, this is, I know your first year learning about this, but we will be able to add next year new activities and happenings at the Indoor Community Center. So that completes my report. Any questions?
It's a great idea, and it looks like a lot of wonderful activities. One question about the July 2nd free swim, just anticipating if it's a really hot day and you get, is there going to be a capacity issue? If is it free to residents only, to everyone? I know some of the public pools, they get really, really crowded on the weekend. So just my question is, are you considering capacity limitations and safety, of course?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I could answer it, but I'm going to go ahead and let Eddie. He oversees our aquatics section directly. So go ahead, Eddie.
So we would allow the maximum capacity at the San Marino High School pool. I can't recall the number. It's a couple hundred, I believe, but off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact number, but our staff would be monitoring that number. And as people come in or people walk out, then new people would be able to come in. To be honest, I don't anticipate it selling out or getting too crowded, but we will have extra lifeguards there and make sure that everyone's safe in the water.
Lots of activities, the late night stargazing. Is it possible to get the community involved and maybe get volunteers? I bet you if we were to ask enough residents, we'd find someone who's an expert in identifying different stars, as well as like fishing. We could probably find a fisherman that could go through drills. Is it possible to send out some sort of questionnaire, volunteers, to sort of make this more engaging? So it's not just a suggestion, here's what you could do in the month of July, and versus here's something that I can help you discover.
I'll take that one. And that is a great question. It is my hope that with the new facilities supervisor position that we are going to be able to alleviate a lot of the workload that is currently on our 3 program staff, which happens to be manager Covarrubias, and then we have 2 other programmers. Considering the fact that we are a very skeleton crew really in the recreation division, if you can consider the fact that they simultaneously are managing the aquatics program, camps, planning for 4th of July, the summer concert series, they are completely at their maximum programming wise. during the summer months currently. It is my hope that some of the facilities responsibilities that currently reside within our two recreation supervisors will get shifted along with some of the facility tasks and responsibilities that Manager Covarrubias also does himself. A lot of that's going to shift over to that new full-time position. That will then open up some bandwidth and some space within their workloads to really take a look at existing programming and how we can enhance it. And those are great ideas for July. July is such a busy month for us already. So, with that being said, it is our goal to enhance everything that we do now that we'll have some additional staff resource specific to the facilities care and keeping.
I think this is a great conversation, and I think it's kind of generating when we started this year and started this commission about coming up with solutions to additional activities. I just want to, anyone else has some comments, guys? Have some muffler. Just have a question about something. Just I want to make sure everyone has a chance to ask first. Okay, so my question is, and I think I'm understanding the challenges of, like it's, let's say if we want to put together an ad hoc event, let's say even on a weekend, I just want to kind of get an understanding of some of the challenges before, I make some type of recommendation. But it does sound like staffing, especially in the summertime, there are challenges with just getting enough staff, and there's a lot of events. Are there any other challenges that we should be aware of, like if before we maybe even have a recommendation on some type of activity or event?
No, I think we're always willing to do the best that we can with the recommendations. Summer is really challenging because not only are we actually operating the summer programs that are here in seasonal and the most highly attended, but we're also planning for the fall because we, our dog parties in September, the trunk or treat, which is a really large event, is in September. And then, we have Home for the Holidays. So not only is it just managing those programs and making sure that we're following protocol and doing what we're supposed to do, but we're also planning for through like the end of the year, as well as starting the beginning steps of the winter programming, which are the track and field meets. So it's nonstop the entire time. So staff also do try to take in a little bit of vacation time during that time of the year. A lot of us have families, kids and stuff like that. So we do try to squeeze whatever we can in there, but we're always willing to listen to recommendations, suggestions, and we try to do everything in our power to make it happen. But there are some difficult, requests that is just, it would be pull somebody away from like the operations of the park or the management of the parks and accounting for, the protocol and things like that. So I don't think there's any limits on what the requests are. It's just trying to make sure that we're able to not only bring that activity to fruition or that event, but that it's a good event, because we can loosely just do something. It's not going to be the quality that everyone would expect or want. So, yeah.
I really appreciate, the question about expanding services and programs. It is my belief, having been here about 1.5 years and really analyzing our programming schedules and our existing programming, I am fairly confident, I can say with complete confidence, that our existing staff are at capacity with the levels of programming that we do. Our goal this year, as you know, we are also expanding our programming based on the priority initiatives that we were asked to come up with for council, a council directive that dovetails into and supporting the new community center opening. Okay, so that's what we then budgeted for. One of the goals for next year, as we make that transition into a new building and we develop those new programs associated with the new community center. That will take us through the first and second quarter of the next fiscal year. But one of the items within the goals and objectives for the Recreation Division is to really start a new recreation program plan. There was one that was put into existence pre-COVID. COVID kind of blew that up. Okay. Then we had to recover from COVID, which then took us into the final 3 years of that, or the third year of the program plan for the division. So that is going to be a process that we will partner with you on to start looking at what areas of programming and service do we have gaps. Okay, there will be a community survey. We will ask the community first so we can be community driven. That it's not driven by employees thinking, and staff thinking. I mean, we have a good grasp on where we feel where we believe, the feedback has come from over the years. We're listening to you today. And so it'll be a collective effort to really develop a plan of direction to address any gaps in service or discontinue programming that maybe is stale and has met its useful life. So that'll be a community-driven process of which you will be a part of that. And I believe that's slated for the second and third quarter of the next fiscal year. So that's that time when we all, we pull back the curtains and we say, what are we doing? What can we do better? What can we do different? And most importantly, what's community want? And you as the community voice, what would you like to see, the city's resources, how the city resources are used? So.
Esther Sol.
As a suggestion to take some of the burden off of the city, the rec department, from what you've just said. I was thinking I'm part of a lot of nonprofit organizations in and around San Marino. I can think of several places here where if we wanted to expand, we could use any number of members to come and teach a rose pruning day at the, said, come and smell the roses. We used to deadhead at the garden club, all the roses, and we kind of fell out of that habit, but that would certainly be an easy program for me to coordinate with you. You don't have to do a thing. I'll just do it. Or any kind of San Marino Women's Club needs to get more involved. We can certainly facilitate some sort of event that you have here as a free event or just an idea and, think of what we can do. July traditionally and August, we don't meet. So that would give us some meeting time outside of an actual formal meeting to for the nonprofits to kind of do something for the city. So just a suggestion. I'd be happy to spearhead that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I could just say one comment, I think, in reference to all of it. And I think I've expressed this before, but I'll kind of express it again in a different way, which is I'm glad all these ideas are, and clearly this commission and its members are very passionate about bringing new services and identifying what the community may need. My concern, as always, is that the staffing of the community services division is appropriate and that we don't overburden the staff enough that the current events and the current services that is being offered are being overburdened to what that the services may be impacted. And I think, that issue has already been talked about. I know in the past when we've raised these issues, and I know we've talked a lot about community involvement, and I know there's been discussion about possibly having another employee to maybe address and coordinating those volunteer possible programs. And maybe that's something that we do consider in the future, because I think a lot of these ideas that have been brought up by the commission have really focused on bringing in other volunteers and other community members to help provide additional services, but that itself is going to need someone to help coordinate. And I think practically speaking, again, I don't want to overburden staff. And I want to make sure that if we can do these things, we can be successful at them, that's going to need additional staff. And I know there's been already a lot of difficulty in just getting another staff member for our new center. So I can imagine that we can make recommendations, but also with an eye towards those issues as well.
So I think just kind of jumping on to the recommendations or part of the conversation. In looking at the calendar, and I have been thinking about how we as commissioners could do things on our own without having much staff responsibilities. And so, I think I've thought about and may have offered, even let's say having a day where, myself and maybe another commissioner can meet up at Lacey Park and then just lead a walk around there. Or it could be meeting up somewhere. I think what I'm hearing from the commission is, people, residents, volunteers who are willing to put, something together on their own and willing to go out and do something, but just needing maybe some guidance from the Recreation Commission as far as how we could do it, whether it's, posting something online, like in social media to encourage people to come. It's one thing to just reach out to our own friends and neighbors, but if we want to meet other people, then how do we do that? And a lot of the activities you've already created, it sounds like that's what you're trying to create. And then if there's a way for us to help out, then we would like to be proactive about it. I know for myself, it's been difficult to attend a lot of events, but if I do put it on my calendar, then I'm more, able to commit to that. So if there is a way, like, for example, some of these things like play a game of freeze tag, is that something that people are just going to do on their own, or is that going to be organized by the
Yeah, no, these are everything from a combination of guided activities and events, but also suggestions that people can go and do on their own, or like you stated, grab a neighbor, grab your friends. So I think you can tell which ones are staff driven and which ones we use instructors for, and all those have a lot of planning, even just behind this kind of stuff. So there's just ideas of things to do in and around the park and or on your own.
Edmonton? Just curious on that, because I might even go. Are there?
We're gonna put some portable
Oh.
courts up there, yeah, with equipment, so. it's a
Temporary on the
yeah,
grass.
yeah.
I have no additional questions. Anyone else?
Along the same lines too. So is it allowed, let's say that we spearhead, not that I could play badminton, I could just say, on like the community Facebook page, can I say, hey, on July 24th, let's all meet at 10 a.m. and I'm going to lead a badminton game, or I'll coordinate that. Is that allowed from the commission? As a commissioner, can we actually post on the city website saying, this has no city involvement, there's not going to be city officials guiding this, it's going to be us personally? Is that allowed?
I think individually it would be fine. We will have to get back to you, as you know, from our training, that anytime there's more than, two of you, it becomes a.
No.
So, well, when you had said all of us, so singularly, yes.
Yeah, so let's say a single commissioner said, I'm going to coordinate doing this, that. It's like a problem. Get a bunch of
Mhm.
kids to follow along. Can I do that and post that on the San Diego Facebook group and get other people in the community? Other than
I think
the
that would be
friends?
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
we as administrators of those pages, and we know who you are, we understand that is your intention. We wouldn't remove that post. So I don't see any problem with that at all.
for both Instagram and Facebook, the only posts come from the administrator. I've never seen a private
Oh,
resident.
we have to approve it?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen like individual content get posted. You might be able to comment in the comment boxes.
And I'm going to defer to our management analyst who actually is our administrator of our site.
Oh, okay.
So let's get the expert in the room to comment on how it works.
Yeah, I think what I would recommend, if this is something we are going to consider, is that whichever commissioner wants to lead a program, they would post it on their social media and we could repost it. We could repost it on ours, but we would need to be tagged so that it would come through our social media and we could repost it that way. Yeah.
That's the question is.
Right, you post on your own, just to reiterate, what I believe I'm hearing from Kristen is that you create your post on your own page, post to your page and tag us. Okay, and that's the piece where some people are like, we're not really sure how to do that. We can talk about that after the meeting. We can, and it's a little complicated. So we can help you do that. Then it'll come through as the administrator, you'll see it. And
I would have to run it by Nicole, but we could either post it on our stories as a temporary 24-hour thing.
is Instagram.
We could also do it on Facebook too, or it could be an actual post which stays up there forever. Another option would be if we were to, I guess, I don't know, not the right word, sponsor the event, like make it part of our own programming. We could throw it on our calendar. And if it's on our calendar, we would have no problem advertising it on our own end. But I don't know if that's how far we were trying to take this type of thing.
No, it was just sort of along the lines, not burden, I guess, the staff when it comes to the scheduling. Let's say we want to hear that one of these things that are staff driven. If we're going to be teaching that we'll post on Facebook, we'll link it to you, and then if they show up, they show up. But it's just.
I think for this year, if you want to just email us, we'll absolutely support that. If in future years and you have, the time and just some advance warning. And then like Kristen mentioned, we will put it on there and then we'll get a little bit more visibility and mileage out of it. Because this is being pushed out pretty much all over our social media channels and the website and in person. So this year we've missed an opportunity to get on the calendar. And right now, if there's something you would like to do, please let us know and we'll support the promotion of it.
One idea is just when you promote, I don't know if you plan to promote some of the individual recommendations, like enjoy the playground at Lacey Park, like encourage everyone to comment here if you'd like to, coordinate. So then it's like initiated by the post, and then you can kind of test out if people comment and it becomes interactive. Like I know there are like Pasadena moms groups where people post like, let's all meet at the park. And then you have people commenting. I mean, we can pilot it if around badminton or around one of these other initiatives and see if people actually engage or not. I mean, my sense is at least what I've seen, there's not that much engagement. People might like things other than the vote for the holiday house decoration, when you explicitly say like, put a like by the house you vote for, there tends to be less interaction. So it might require a little bit of prompting.
We do have a fairly comprehensive marketing plan that we execute every month. And one of our channels of promotion is our social media calendar and schedule of promotion. Do we post every single day? I don't believe so. I'm going to defer to Kristen. We do all of our social media kind of guidelines and work rules are also somewhat governed by the city administrative office and our community engagement manager. So, and I'm going to speak out of school if I don't defer to Kristen. So my understanding is that we only post every 2 or 3 days.
I mean, during summer, when we're super busy, we could be posting 5 to 7 times a week.
And that's already scheduled. That's already stuff we have scheduled. Let alone trying to hit every single thing on the calendar.
Yeah, I mean, I can say I've already kind of calendared out our social media posts for July, and we are trying to highlight more of the active programming that we have, like the fitness boot camps and the one with Laura at the park. So we do have plans to spotlight individual programming, but we already have so much going on this summer that it's hard to post every single day about everything we're doing for July's Parks and Rec Month.
Question.
Yeah, I think what we're hearing is that the commission is really encouraged to be in, we all want to be involved. And we're just trying to find a way to make it fit within the constraints that we have when it comes to staffing, resources. But I think after this, I think that I'm sure that we all, and I'm looking at this calendar as well and trying to figure out where can I fit my time in. I mean, I know I need to get my kids off of the screen time. So a lot of these activities, I'm excited to figure out how I could fit this into my schedule as well. But as well as being more involved in getting our neighbors and meeting new people. And I think that's something that we all have to kind of be really intentional about too, given all of our busy schedules. All right, so let me move to receive and file the preview of July's Parks and Recreation Month plans. We don't need a vote or anything on this, right? We don't need a vote.
No.
The fourth item on the agenda is the multicultural summer concert, entertainment, music, and food. Can we please have a presentation from Community Services Director Johnson and Recreation Manager Covarrubias?
Commissioners, this report begins on page 18 of your packet. And so basically what this is, as we proceed with the 2023-24 priority initiatives of rebuilding a sense of community, and in the exploration of creating this multi-cultural summer concert, we do want to speak to you about the variety of music, as well as the countries, the cultural diversity, the foods and the entertainment that you all have in mind or envision would be popular with the city, with city residents. So today, staff seeks recommendations from the commission on the types of cultural performances, music, and food they believe would be interesting to the families of San Marino. We do have a proposed recommendation in the report, which is dancing storytellers, Indian mythology as one of the cultural entertainment areas, and then Spanish flamenco. And the reason that we decided that these might be good options is Chinese Club already has the Lunar New Year event, so we don't want to, duplicate what they're already providing. So we thought, it would be nice to have something from Southern Asia, which is the Indian culture, and we felt that that would be a pretty good option. And as well as Spanish flamenco, something European as well, and Latin jazz as the ending concert. So the two first portions of the festivities would be, cultural demonstrations or presentations, and then end it with a fun concert, and there's nothing more fun than Latin jazz with all the brass instruments and stuff like that. So those were some of the suggestions. There are other options as well that we listed for your consideration as well. But we felt that this would be a pretty good, well-rounded program. And in addition, though, we are, 2 months out from this, so we would have to check availability for some of these groups, because we haven't got the okay for the actual passage, but until like last month or so. So we wanted to discuss it with you as a group and get some feedback. Chair Yen, I believe, is going to lead the discussion on this. So if you are all okay with this, we can proceed with this, or if there's anything that you want to discuss or have a conversation about, or suggest the types of foods, that you'd like to see out there. We still have time to do some of those things.
Right, so we could open it up. I know there's quite a few options here, and I think what we could do is, if there's any questions about any particular option that you would like Eddie to talk about, maybe we could put that out there. I mean, some of this, and I didn't realize what, so the Indian mythology, you're saying it's like the Southeast Asian as opposed.
Right, it's southern, western type of Asia, it would be just a different part of the continent of Asia, and then we have the European continent, we have the South American continent with Latin jazz, or that could be Central, I guess, America, I don't know, so it would be depending on what we're doing, and we're just trying to expand and try to be as inclusive of any types of groups within the restricted time that we have for the event. So these were just recommendations of things that we thought would look interesting. All of these performances options that you see here are through the LA Music Center. So, they're good quality performers. So we would try to see if we could book them and try to get some of these performers to come out there. Again, availability would be the determining factor. If these were the ones that we saw were like, wow, these are really interactive and engaging with people, and they had people participate and do those types of things. So this was the option that we felt would be pretty strong.
No, it sounds like availability is a big issue. Have we made any preliminary inquiries as to availability, or is this just a general list? And
This
we would
is-
have to check first.
Yeah, this is a general list. We have to check with the groups that we selected if their availability is open to that. So yes, it's an initial, and once we get the green light to go, then we were waiting for the budget to pass. So that's why it took us a little bit more time. I don't think that everyone's going to be booked on there. So especially on a Friday afternoon. So I think we have a good chance of getting some of these groups. So if you're okay, we would proceed with the recommendations that are here in this area. And then if, as a backup, if you'd like to select maybe a second choice or a third choice, fourth, and maybe a fifth choice, I think that would be helpful. And we could just try to follow that sequence.
Yeah, and reach consensus amongst yourselves and give us those recommendations. I think it's important to remember that this is our first year doing this, and it is our goal to continue doing it. So we have to have a starting point, but every year we will make sure that, we continue to diversify. And so this is our first step forward, and, come back, and we'll come back. You'll be a part of the selection every year, and a little bit sooner. As Eddie mentioned, we really couldn't bring this to you any sooner because of the adoption of the budget.
Questions before maybe we prioritize or choose?
Just a comment. I mean, I think this is a fantastic idea, and with the various, individual events, I think it's always important to keep in mind some of the larger North Star objectives. So one is, of course, to create a sense of community within San Marino. Another one, which I think I've, mentioned a lot of times, is just that for kind of, one, the falling enrollment in schools here, and the fact that families are preferring neighboring communities over this. I can, again, just repeat this example. We have 4 or 5 young families in our neighborhood. Almost every single one of them came to San Marino because South Pasadena was too competitive. And I think one of the main reasons people have started to prefer South Pasadena, which historically was not as desirable as San Marino, is lack of diversity. So I think events like this is a great step towards these objectives of increasing diversity in this community. I know there's a DEI commission that is also looking into these issues. So yeah, I think this and more of this type of activity is really, really important. And in selecting, which ones we should include, that might be another, aspect to consider. Just like you said, if Chinese Club is already covering some of the, East Asian communities, to try to kind of look into communities that are maybe less represented here and may draw, families who would consider moving here, and also just create awareness amongst our children and our families who, may not have such a global perspective.
Absolutely. We're trying to include as many people and diversities as possible. When I see a mariachi band somewhere that's not typical of a mariachi, I get my skin welts up and I feel very proud, to have Mexican heritage. So I can imagine we bring that to San Marino, someone that maybe never sees that type of thing happen in their own community will also welt up and get excited to know that, they're being considered.
Buying or agreeing to the selections?
Only that I think that comment was well taken that we have a backup. We select maybe a full group and then a backup so they don't have to come back to us, especially since this event, I'm assuming this as time rolls on is gonna book up faster. So I would rather not have to come back to us again a second time, and hopefully we can get whatever we want. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So right now, the choices are dancing storytellers, Indian mythology, and Spanish flamenco. Is that correct?
Those are included. So it would be two cultural performances and one concert. So that's the recommendation there. So
There's no objections. Let's at least put those two on the map and then we could fill in the rest of the card. Are there any objections to those two? All right, don't see any. So let's make sure those are on. So I guess for 3, 4, 5, does anyone else have any recommendations?
I think the list you put together is fantastic. So I think any one of these would be fantastic. The polka is my favorite from a Swedish folk. We used to listen to it at Thanksgiving.
I think it's well taken, the diversity comment of Commissioner Side, though, and I think that's a good idea. And I think I think maybe we can exclude some of these mainly because they've already been covered already, right? I think at the Chinese New Year event, they did, a lot of East Asian, so that would be, so what we could exclude is the Melody of China, Korean classical music, the Japanese drumming. I think they did almost all those things at the event, and I think it's a good idea to, and especially that's the whole point of this event, right? The bringing in different cultures and exposing our community and the surrounding communities. So I don't know what everyone has a preference in terms of the other ones, but I mean, there are some interesting, things here like the West African dance and the Brazilian folkloric, those certainly seem interesting to me. So, and different.
I would vote for the West African dance just because it's really lively and drum driven. So I think it kind of livens up the audience. So, it's I think some of the like jazz, depending on the type of jazz and depending on, the Indian mythology, if it's kind of more mellow, that can help enliven it. I wouldn't vote for this one, but I'd say it's a quality program. So the American Doo-Wop, I think if it's the Music Center one, I actually heard them at an Alhambra farmers market once. They're really good. They're like a really good, solid group. But maybe not for this particular event, but yeah, I would just vouch for the quality, at least of that particular program.
Okay, so I have some on here, West African Dance Ensemble. Should we put that on the list? Okay. And then anyone, I'd say maybe 2 more, just in case.
I just want to point out that, so we have cultural performance-based groups, and then we have music.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So the group is just discussing the performance options, correct? Okay.
Mexican folklorico.
Folklorico.
Thank you.
He gives us lessons on how to
I try to
pronounce
like,
this.
I don't know.
As long as there's no tildes and don't tell me to pronounce ours. What is that in particular? Like
Big dress.
Yeah, the big dress. So we had some of those for the trunk or treat event.
Amazing.
We had them there in the front. So we do want to bring them back. So if we can skip over that one, it would be okay because we try to book them for the trunk or treat again as the entry point.
Does anyone know what Philippine folk is?
it might be the bamboo sticks when they do this like. I don't know, they're like, you take like two long bamboo sticks and they like bang them around and you have to like jump over them back and forth. I think it's that.
There was a lot of, so a lot of these groups were pretty, they moved a lot and they danced a lot. They hit like the Brazilian, well, they're very energetic as well. The Philippine folk also was pretty energetic from the small clip that I saw. So they're high energy, those two groups for sure. Okay.
Else, is that okay with anyone else to put that on our number 4? Okay, I agree with that too, all right.
Polka was on music, so we did have another. That was the one that you suggested, right? Yeah, so that was the.
You know, mariachi is always lively.
I
So
love mariachi music, so that would be
I
fantastic.
would suggest that just because I know it's lively and it's, you know, it always brings energy. So a certain energy. So
How about, let's get a 5th one on the cultural performance options. Anyone have anything they would like to see? Brazilian, maybe? Okay. All right, so we'll just add Brazilian. And then for the music options, we have Latin jazz for number 1, mariachi number 2. Anyone else want to put reggae for 3? All right. So we do
Okay,
want-
so so the recap that I have here, so we're gonna proceed with the recommendations first. And then after that, we're gonna move with the West African ensemble, the Philippine folk, and the Brazilian folkloric. As far as music genres, then we're gonna proceed with the Latin jazz first, mariachi second, and Caribbean reggae number 3. Yeah, okay. Do you have any recommendations on food options that you would like to see out there?
That isn't, so do you know how that's going to be? Are
We're
you,
trying to get food trucks. It's easier getting food trucks and getting them permitted with LA County. We would like to proceed with trying to get food trucks to serve the food there.
Easier if they've already been here, if.
No, as long as they have their proper permits, we submit it as a packet. We let LA County know as the organizer what we're planning on doing, where our utilities will be. And as long as they have a valid permit and their clean bill of health, then they're okay. So it doesn't complicate it at all.
how many food trucks would there be?
So currently for 4th of July, we usually have about 7 food trucks for that event. So with that option, people bring their own lunches a lot of the time. So, we try to get whatever, something that it's not easy for them to make at home. So we try to get those options. They're a little bit more difficult. One of our really new ones and popular ones is New Moon, since they're local in town. They provide a really great option for Chinese. We do have American, the hamburgers, which are pie and burger, but we can do a variety. I would try to bring in at least 10 trucks. Yeah, well, actually, no. Thank you for saying that. It's our very first time. So we try to get at least 4 or 5 trucks. Yeah. And
I believe you had a bulgogi truck at one of the events. Do you recall at the school a while back? Korean taco. Rice, something.
yeah.
I'll
we
look
can-
it up for you. I want to say rice balls of fire, and I can't believe I said that out loud, but I believe that's what it's called, and it
Yeah.
was incredible.
That Kogi truck parks down the street from my house every Saturday, so I can go approach him this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would love would be if the food trucks, well, at least somewhat reflected whatever we were doing.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, if, we ended up confirming the Indian mythology, maybe doing,
Yeah, we can
a food
definitely
truck
do
on-
that.
Yeah, with Indian food.
We'll secure the entertainment first and then we'll base the foods on the performers and stuff like that. That's a great suggestion.
Financial considerations, is it the trucks will come if we invite them, or do they need to be guaranteed that there will be enough customers for the evening? How does that?
So the way for 4th of July, we actually charge them a fee because we know they're gonna do well during those events. So we charge them $150 per truck to come in and sell product. When we have our other events, because they are at smaller scale, then we don't charge them to entice them to bring them in, or else some trucks would like minimums, guaranteed minimums. So we don't pay for any of those. So we secure trucks that are willing to come in and take a chance. We'll advertise and have them, receive free marketing and things like that, but we won't charge them. All they have to do is buy their business city license, because they do need to have that. And so that's the fee that they essentially pay for these events. So the concerts and things like that, they're smaller scale. A food vendor is not going to want to drive their truck there for a small amount. The only one that ever comes out for everything is the popcorn. And that's really popular. And I've actually got complaints when we don't invite them. So they're invited to everything, but they do come to everything. So yeah, so we try to bring them in without charging them fees for these smaller events. And that's their incentive.
Firefighters to cook something.
They're going to be cooking hot dogs for Home for the Holidays. So we secured them.
I'll share just a little bit of the numbers. I believe through our participation report, if my memory serves me correctly, we've had around, 500 people on average to these free concerts in the summer. This is our first concert where we have included performances, and it is, enhanced with this multicultural theme. There will be not just, one thing to watch on the main stage, there'll be three. And so, and because it is it on a Friday night?
Friday.
Okay. So it is a Friday night, but people do still work. So we only have a limited amount of time to be able to, hold the event. So it's our hope that we've enhanced it enough that we're planning and enhancing it enough to hopefully hit 1,000, 1,200. I think if we were being realistic as professional, event folks that have been doing events large and small in the community for several years now. Whether we get, 3 to 5 trucks, I think it's going to be fine, because we're only going to have, anticipated this first year around 1,000. So we want to make sure that, they do feel like they've come out and they've made enough money and
Right.
to, make it worth their while this first year.
Are people going to be allowed to bring their own food in as well?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, we
napkins,
wouldn't
okay.
stop them. Yeah.
And then will there be an alcohol truck?
No. Yeah.
This will be advertised for like outside the community too, right?
Oh, yeah. It would go through our social media channels. Anyone that subscribes to anything with us, our monthly e-blast. Yeah, we want as many people to come from wherever they need to come from, for sure.
So we would need a vote on this item.
Recommend staff to secure dancing, storytellers, Indian mythology, and Spanish flamenco as a cultural performances, and a Latin jazz band for the multicultural concert, in addition to the additional choices that we've provided as backups. Is that the motion? All right, then we need a second for a motion.
Okay. Can he call the first, or does someone else have to?
Yeah,
Okay. so
let's
moved.
start over again. I think, if you want to call for a motion,
Okay,
Chair Yen,
yeah.
and then let someone else read the motion. We do have notes of the other lineup and, the secondary, third, fourth. So you might just state like you said it, you don't have to say as part of the motion, in addition to the backup performers and list them, you can just say in addition to the backup recommendations that were listed previously. So whoever does make the motion.
So, well, I guess when we have someone make a motion, then go ahead.
Okay, I move to recommend staff to secure dancing storytellers, Indian mythology, and Spanish flamenco as the cultural performances, and a Latin jazz band for the multicultural concert, in addition to the other choices we have made.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tam, Commissioner Sai,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu, Vice Chair Solon,
Aye.
Chair Yen,
Aye.
Motion passes.
Do we have any written communication or public writings for distribution? No. Oh. No.
To explain that again, this area of the agenda states, do we have any written communication or public writing for distribution? That is for you, if you have received any, such as communication from any resident or anyone that you want to share at that point. So it's not necessarily coming from us, it's coming from you.
Sometimes this is being reflected in the beginning when we have opportunity for comments and, okay. All right, well then this meeting is adjourned at 7:38 until the next meeting on July 10th at 6 p.m. in the Barth Room.